welcome back to Constructive Game Critiques. We're going to go over a bit of the news that has happened over the last few weeks. I know I haven't talked to you guys in a while. I don't like to make knee-jerk reaction videos because generally speaking, there's always something more to the story, right? And these past few weeks have proven that. We've had Microsoft essentially do a 180, or their situation rather, do a 180 and then another 180. So basically a 360. It went from bad to good to really good for them as far as this whole acquisition of Activision Blizzard is concerned. We've had Sony basically shit the bed when it comes to a presentation that took them over 600 days to get out there. We've had a lot of hope built up for this Microsoft conference that happens a week from now, even though notoriously, like Sony just did, Microsoft tends to shit the bed. So let's get into it. First things first. And I don't believe I've talked about this. You can correct me in the comments if you want to, if you feel the need to. But it looks like the CMA and FTC are outliers on this entire thing. The EU came out and approved the deal, and of course with behavioral remedies. But to me, you know, and you might argue that, well, you're just in favor of the deal anyway. And absolutely I am. I would much rather get Call of Duty as a part of the service than give them $70 for that shit every year. I don't know what these other people are on. I don't know what they're thinking. It's not like Microsoft is trying to hostile take over Activision. Activision went to them like, yo, you want to buy this shit or not? And they said, okay, what's the price? $70 billion. Fine, whatever. So, you know, the people who are against it, they're a special breed. We already know who we're talking about, though. Mostly ponies. But, yeah, the CMA was basically like, yeah, we don't care as long as they let, and I could be misquoting, but as long as they let other cloud services get access to the game so that people who are on cloud service X, Y, or Z can just play it, as long as they purchase it, we don't, you know, and they have to give them a free key, so we don't care. Makes sense to me. How the CMA couldn't come up with that when they have all these concerns about cloud is beyond me. And the FTC really looks stupid because they didn't even, to my understanding, they didn't even bother to have a conversation with Microsoft about behavioral remedies. They just went straight to lawsuit. There's been word of collusion, that the CMA and the FTC talk to each other about it, which, you know, whatever. I don't want to get too much into that, even though I wouldn't doubt that's the case. You know, I'm not a lawyer, so I wouldn't know the legalities or illegalities of that situation. But from what I understand, it's not good. I've even seen something where apparently Lena Khan is being pressed. This is the head of the FTC, is being pressed about her abuse of power when it comes to attempting to veto these deals. And I don't think she's won a single case, or at the very least, she's lost several. So it's not looking good for anybody who didn't want this deal to go through. And I've always been pretty confident that it would happen, but I've also always said that even if it didn't, it would be a tremendously bad idea, or situation rather, for Sony to give back $70 billion to a company that you just pissed off by blocking the deal, when really all they're trying to do is add more content to their Netflix style service. You want to do that, go ahead and poke that bear if you want to. It's not going to end well for you. And it's looking like it's already not going well for them. You know, outside of, I don't want to say abysmal, even though I did refer to them as shitting the bed. And they did. But I don't want to refer to the Sony PlayStation Showcase as abysmal. But outside of how abysmal some people said it was, or really just how mid it was, let's just say mid, noticeably missing from, an around the summer showcase for Sony was a build of Call of Duty. Now, there are people out there who said that I think last year, for sure, they didn't show off Call of Duty. And I'm pretty sure the year before they may or may not have. But here's the problem. You would think that with Activision now having changed gears and saying, well, yeah, we are putting out a major Call of Duty in the year 2023, they would have something to show. And the only people contractually, as far as I know, that they're able to show something with is Sony. I just don't see them bothering to do that when Sony has kind of screwed them over on this whole, getting $70 billion. It's bigger than gaming, guys. Like I said, those are a bunch of rich old dudes who want their cut of that pie. That $70 billion is going to be split amongst a lot of people, shareholders alike. And for Sony to step in and impede on that, I guarantee you it's a bunch of old dudes in suits like, yeah, don't give them shit. They can get the beta early. They can get the extra custom slots for weapons and loadouts and all that stuff, but don't give them shit to show. Fuck them. Like, I guarantee you conversations of that ilk are probably happening. Yeah, we still got to do business with y'all because of the contract, but best believe once that contract's up, Sony might as well just be okay with it at this point because Microsoft's going to get the advertising for that game after this. They're going to get the advertising for this game. They're going to get the advertising for this game. I'd be very surprised that if this deal didn't go through, which, let's just be honest, it more than likely is. But if it didn't go through, if Activision somehow still said, okay, yeah, Sony, you can still have all of the advertisement and all of the perks and all that other good shit, I think that's done. That's cooked. Realistically speaking, the state that Call of Duty seems to be in nowadays, it's not really a bad thing for Sony either. But they might as well let that go. I think that's done. Beyond that, let's talk about this PlayStation Showcase. This thing was gaslighted, was hyped up to be like the end all be all. We were going to see Castlevania in the Soulsborne ilk there. We were going to see Metal Gear there, and it was going to be exclusive. We were going to see Factions. Remember Factions, that multiplayer mode for The Last of Us 2 that was supposed to launch this year or next year or sometime soonish? We were supposed to see that. We were supposed to see, what else was supposed to be there? My gosh. What else were they do? What else did the ponies lie to themselves about to say was going to be at this dumbass showcase? I think they said something about really. Forgive me. I'm losing my train of thought. I don't think there was anything else major there. They were really hanging on Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania. Oh, Silent Hills. Silent Hills. They were hoping Silent Hills was going to be there for some oddball ass reason. And here's the thing. That show popped up, came out, whatever you want to call it. And it's not as bad as people are saying it is. It also was not very good. Right? It was not the worst thing I've ever seen. I think the Spider-Man footage was pretty cool. I think that, the CGI concept trailers they showed for some of those games at least makes them look slightly interesting. Although Redfall's CGI trailer made it look somewhat interesting too. And we all know how that shit turned out. So, all that being said, Show came out. Shitload of CGI trailers. No gameplay. The few games that did have gameplay for or details on were either multi-platform or fake-ass version of Splatoon for the PS5. Like, and apparently, I don't want to throw shots, but apparently somebody at IGN thought that game made that showcase a 9 out of 10. And I was like, okay, bro, whatever they paying you to say that shit. That was another big thing. We'll touch on that actually at the end of this subject, right? This is media bias thing, because nothing reared its head uglier than media bias during this whole thing. And that guy's like, okay, opinions being opinions, and somebody else, there's another YouTuber, and forgive me for not remembering your name, buddy, but he mentioned this, or he at least made a video ranting about it. The fact that this dude said that, what was that stupid ass bubble cocaine party game called that Square's making? Whatever it's called, it looks okay, right? Again, Splatoon already exists, so who gives a shit? But the fact that this dude said that the showcase was a 5 and that game made it a 9 is a fucking joke, right? That's absurd. Like, I don't believe that. You don't even believe that. You didn't believe it when you were saying it. How you kept a straight face and said this shit, you deserve an Oscar for that. Anyway, showcase was largely multi-plat games, to the point where Microsoft did a little cheeky response and said, yeah, that's a great looking bunch of games right there, and said coming to Xbox on the side. It was like half, or not, maybe 2/3 of the PlayStation showcase was on the damn picture, including Metal Gear. Look, Sony's in the lead for a reason. They've been doing it really well for the last 10 years. But to not have had a major showcase, and I believe it was 600 plus days, and to show up with a bunch of your own games that are CGI, and a lot of them look like games as a service shooters. Like, how many of those do you expect to actually do well on one platform? Like, the only games as a service game that they showed off that actually had gameplay was the I think it's called Helldivers 2. That looks cool. And, you know, the smart move was to publish that on PC and PS5 at the same time. And then, you know, Bungie showed off Marathon, which looks interesting. But I also think Marathon could potentially be Bungie's first flop. That'll be a video for another time. I don't know. That one could work out one of several ways. But for you guys at PlayStation to not have shown any of the stuff that these PlayStation guys were hyping this show up for. One guy even dressed up as fucking Solid Snake. Ridiculous. Like, you got these guys excited for nothing. And as someone who's watched many a Sony showcase in my years and many an Xbox showcase in my years, that was the most Xbox PlayStation showcase I've ever seen in my life. Like, I understand you copying the Game Pass gimmick half-assed with PlayStation Plus Essentials. And then I understand you copying the basically the ASOS ROG Ally Play that Microsoft is pulling by bringing out that butt ugly ass second screen controller that you guys coming out. But like, to turn your whole showcase into a half-ass Xbox showcase, typical Xbox showcase, is like, my God, do you even care? Like, are you that far ahead that you just don't give a shit? And then, of course, the fallout of that was a bunch of ponies' brains exploded. And it was glitter and horsehair all over the fucking place. More importantly, it was a lot of ponies that was having come to Jesus moments. I can't believe this is happening. What are they doing? This show sucked. Then of course, you got the fervent deniers who sat here and acted like that shit was actually good. Then you had the media, like I said, the guy at IGN, not gonna put his name out there, but everybody knows who he was, who said the show was a 9 out of 10 because of Cocaine Phone Party, the video game. And it's just like, I'm sorry, the game's phone stars. No disrespect to developers, but y'all could have kept that shit. This is a problem, right? Sony clearly, as I stated at the beginning of this video, shit the bed with this conference. You're not helping them, but you're enabling them when you do stuff like this. We've learned since that garbage ass show that apparently Bungie may have had a hand in suggesting that maybe Factions 2 may not be shown at this show because by their logic, they didn't see why anybody would play it for a long term. And honestly, I can see that being the case, even though we still haven't gotten confirmation as to whether or not that's true. I can see that being the case because the biggest problem with a lot of PlayStation's multi-platform, or excuse me, not multi-platform, but multiplayer games, is that they don't really tend to have longevity. It's just like, who's really playing Uncharted 2, 3, or 4 multiplayer past like 6 months? Who's playing Last of Us Factions, the first Last of Us, because no one's playing Last of Us 2 Factions apparently, not anytime soon. But who's playing the first Last of Us Factions past like 6 or 8 months? A very small, hardcore amount of people. It's certainly still not putting up the numbers that like a Halo or Battlefield, or certainly well below what a Call of Duty's putting up, a Call of Duty from a few years back even. That's a problem they have. And with them going full bore on this games as a service thing, I don't know what they're going to do. Like, we also need to understand, though, in all fairness to Sony, we also need to understand that you weren't going to see Ghost of Tsushima 2 at this show. Anybody who thought they were going to see Ghost of Tsushima 2 at this show, you are one of two things. You are very ignorant of how long it takes to make a game. And I know you might be saying to yourself, well, they could just put out a CGI trailer. Well, CGI trailers, one, were a big problem that the show had. Two, if you don't really have the concept of what the game is going to be yet, because they may not follow Jin in the second game, right? Then maybe you don't have a concept of what the CGI trailer is, because CGI trailer would be very indicative, I would think, of what the actual game is going to be. And if you don't have what the actual game is going to be conceptually drawn out yet, why would you have a CGI trailer for it? Think about the time it took between infamous Second Son, which was Sucker Punch's first game on the PS5, and then the Last Light expansion, which came out like maybe 6 to 8 months later, and Ghost of Tsushima. It was like 6 or 7 years. It's only been, 3 years maybe? 2.5 since Ghost of Tsushima came out? Was it 2019 or 2020? I can't remember. But it hasn't been 6 years. That's my whole point. At best, it's been 2.5, 3, because you also have to count the fact that there was development time for the DLC, which came out about a year later with the PS5 version of the game. So they aren't going to have anything ready for that game yet. There's a strong possibility that The Last of Us Factions got pushed aside for them to remake The Last of Us Part 1. Strong possibility. You gotta remember, there was a PS5 version that Naughty Dog worked on first. Then that terrible ass PC version came out. And Naughty Dog didn't make that, but still, there was more than likely a dedicated amount of time to not only Part 1 on PS5, but probably their TV show. I believe Neil Druckmann was directing episodes of that. A lot of these games you guys want them to make takes a long time. And while we openly, and we as in the gaming community, openly ragged and bagged on Microsoft for delaying games over and over again or taking long to show something, now PlayStation might be at that low point where, it does affect everybody. Because honestly, right now, I don't think we even really know what Nintendo's got coming out with. I think they showed the sequel to 1-2 Switch because God knows people wanted a sequel to that shit. And Sony's got Spider-Man coming out this year and Final Fantasy 16, which is a game they don't even make, right? That's something that Square makes. And apparently they ain't too happy with the pre-sales for that. At least that's the word. Could be a fucking complete lie, but whatever. Whole point is, more and more people are starting to learn that video game development is hard and that it takes time and that things may not be ready at a pace or schedule that spoiled gamers with first world problems are expecting to be done in. And that's okay. Just fucking wait. You know what I'm saying? But the media bias, like, there were articles saying it was an 8 out of 10 show, 9 out of 10 show, and I'm looking at these articles and I'm like, so when Microsoft, I believe that was 2020, showed a bunch of CGI trailers and no gameplay and games as a service and potential this and potential that, that show sucked. Microsoft's in trouble. Now, mind you, to be fair, Microsoft hasn't earned that goodwill. But to say that the media bias stuff is getting a little sickening would be an understatement. And that IGN review, that shit took the cake. Like, you cannot be serious. I saw it. I heard 8.5 out of 10, 9 out of 10 for a fucking phone party game. And, like, dude, stop it. It's BS. Total BS. I mean, again, you're entitled to your own opinion. You are an individual human with your own thought process. But nobody in their right mind says that was a 9 out of 10 show. Being fair, I thought it was a strong 7. You know, but for 600 days, for a 600-day wait, and all the expectation that the ponies put on it, and as a person who owns a PlayStation 5 and the PSVR 2, yeah, me giving it a 7 was generous. I spent $1,100 on this fucking machine, and I waited 600 days for Sony to show me something first party that would entice me to want to, you know, start cutting this thing on a more regular basis. And they haven't done that. They haven't done that. I'm so glad that I haven't played through God of War and Horizon Forbidden West yet, because over the summer until Spider-Man comes out, if I don't buy Final Fantasy 16, I'm not gonna have shit to do. Like, it's gonna be a long summer. Let me tell you. All that being said, though, you know, the media did what they always do. They did fucking covering Sony's ass and, oh, you know, it's PlayStation, they'll be fine and whatever. It's like, okay. I hope Spider-Man 2 is really good. I'm sure. You know what? No, I'm sure Spider-Man 2 will be really good. Spider-Man, it's Insomniac. They can make Spider-Man games. God knows it's not like there's a formula out there to follow. It's like Spider-Man games ain't being made for fucking 3 generations. Same city, same mechanics. But I don't know, man. Like, I always tell you guys, never too high, never too low. But this is not a good look for Sony. You even had some weirdos out here saying, "Oh, well, maybe they were holding stuff back." This ain't the time for that shit. This ain't the time for holding back. Microsoft was about to launch Starfield. If Starfield is an 8 out of 10, let me repeat myself. If Starfield is a fucking 8 out of 10, it is going to move mountains. So all it needs to be is an 8. And people don't understand that. It's a Bethesda RPG. Have you seen the teeth on those games? People still mod Morrowind. People still mod Skyrim. It's a 10-plus-year-old game. Excuse me, 10 years. I'm fucking lying. That game's got to be at least, 12, 13 years, maybe 14? Going on 14 years? It's a 14-year-old game. People are still modding it. They sold it like 3 or 4 different times in that 13 or 14 years. That game is super, super old, and they keep selling it because people keep buying it. I can play that game on my fucking smart refrigerator. Okay? Bethesda RPGs, even whack-ass Fallout 76, have audiences, no matter how good or abysmal they are. They, generally speaking, will find an audience. They always do. If this game's an 8, it's going to be a problem. Spider-Man could be a 9, 10, whatever. It's only going to be on PS5. This game is going to be on Xbox Series S, X, PC, and if you have Game Pass Ultimate, you'll be able to stream it on the Xbox One. Because a lot of people don't know that's a thing. So, you got to look at the fall for Sony and be like, what are you guys really planning to do? Because if by August, September, they own Call of Duty, and they being Microsoft, first of all, Call of Duty apparently contractually is not going to be in Game Pass for 2 years, but a lot of the other shit could be. The Crash games, maybe the older Call of Duties could be in there. I know the newer ones won't be, but like a lot of shit could end up in Game Pass by the fall that people have interest in. And not only that, I think you're looking at Starfield and Forza Motorsport and obviously a much more niche category, Age of Empires 4. But hints have been dropped that apparently there's something big coming for Hi-Fi Rush because another 10 achievements have been found in the data mining, which means I think they're going to shadow drop some kind of DLC for that game at this showcase. It seems to be a trend or something they're going to keep up with this game where they just shadow drop shit for it. And I'm all for that. Good for them. I don't know. This isn't turning out to be a great year for Sony as far as releases. Final Fantasy 16 will more than likely be at the very least a 9 out of 10 game. At least I hope it is for them. Because they paid a lot of money for that shit. Spider-Man is going to be good. Spider-Man, you like I said, you can't really mess that up. You could, but I don't think Insomniac will. But, damn, man. At this showcase, you could at least showed us what we were getting next year. They really didn't even do that. I got more information about my PSVR 2 at the Meta Quest showcase on what was that this past Thursday? I got more information about my PSVR 2 there than I did from Sony showcase. So because there's a lot of games there that are going to be on the PSVR 2. Not good, man. 600 days. I'm like I said, I'm being generous, giving it a 7 out of 10. And honestly, I'm gonna look at that damn thing again. I might revise that to like a 6 or a 5. Anybody saying it's above a 7.5, because Spider-Man footage, I would say puts it about there. Anybody saying it's above 7.5 is fucking crazy though. They're full of shit. Now, this Xbox showcase. Xbox are feeling pretty good right now, and I always tell people, don't get too high, don't get too low, because when shit hits the fan, it flies everywhere, right? Microsoft could very easily steal a lot of momentum with this showcase. However, the problem I see is that given their history, this may well not be the case. Apparently, they've dropped the 12-month thing, which is, thank God, because 2 of your biggest titles didn't even live up to that, that promise. Or one of them did, but it was dog water when it came out. So, cheers to that. But I don't know, man. Look, I would hope that Phil Spencer and his team are actually looking into making this the best show they possibly can. And I'll give you a prediction list of mine in a second. Or wish list, rather. Because I also have a Series X. And a PC. A pretty decent PC. So, and a Steam Deck. Not bragging, but, I would love to be able to play some of these games if they were coming out in the next year or whatever. But I'm not going to overhype myself for this showcase. After Sony disappointed me where they did, because I've always said Sony is really, really good at hyping stuff up and getting people, amped up and ready for something that's years out. They failed miserably to do that a couple of weeks ago with their showcase. And Microsoft's never been good at that. Literally, the best showcase they had was a very focused showcase back in February where they pulled a game out of their ass and gave it to everybody the day of the show. Biggest boss move they've ever done in a showcase. I don't even know if they had the potential to top that small showcase with this one. But I believe it's a 2-hour long showcase, an hour and 10 to 20 minutes for the Xbox showcase, which, funnily enough, is not called the Xbox Bethesda showcase, which leads me to believe that they're pretty much melding those two companies' events into one. And then, obviously, Starfield's going to have its own 25 to 35-minute showcase after the main showcase is over with. Again, like I told you, ponies, that game, if it's an 8, it's going to fucking slap. It don't matter. But they've already started doing little shit like, there was the whole sprinkle trail with the controller and the Fable music implicating that Fable would be at this show. Let me tell you something. If anybody is capable of fucking that up and not actually showing something that they've hinted at, it's Microsoft. Microsoft could very easily have an entire show and not even a game with pixie dust in it show up, and they won't even have a fucking Peter Pan picture in the background at this showcase. Microsoft's more than capable of messing this up. So, bots, I'm just letting y'all know, cool your horses, because I guarantee you, the way y'all jumped down the pony's throat the last couple of weeks, for Tanga, oh no, it's Alex, all of them motherfuckers will jump down y'all throats just as bad if y'all got them long, stupid faces when anything you expecting to be there is not there. I would say build a wish list expect 75% of it not to be there and be satisfied if the other 25% does show up. That's what I would say. Because if anybody can smoke a layup, it's Microsoft. Nobody, like Lindsey Hunter used to play for the Detroit Pistons. Great player. All due respect to him, used to smoke layups all the time. Wide open, just smoke them shits right off the backboard, off the rim, boom, turnover. Or, rebound for the other team. Great job. You fucked up. He's got like 3 championships, but he fucked up, right? Microsoft could easily be the Lindsey Hunter of video games, where it's like they've had some wins, right? But they smoke layups. This here's a layup, right? They could smoke the shit out of this motherfucker, though. My personal list of this would make the Xbox showcase a solid 8 or 9, and definitely bury the PlayStation showcase would be this. Avowed needs to be there. Not a CGI trailer, because we already seen that shit with the skeleton getting hit with the arrow from like 40 billion miles away, and the guy doing the goddamn Doctor Strange finger jutsus to call up some magic for something comes out of the cave to kill him. We already seen that shit. We don't need no more CGI. I need to see footage of you kicking a goddamn zombie off a ledge, because apparently, according to Jez Corden, there's a kick button in this game. I fucking love kick buttons in first-person shooters. At least I think he said that. Forgive me, Jez, if I'm wrong. You don't know me. Still, all due respect, I am a fan. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but apparently there's a kick button in the game. I fucking love first-person. Don't ask me why, but ever since Duke Nukem, I love being able to kick the shit out of somebody in a first-person shooter. So I need that in the game. Plus, based on what that game is, the world that game centered in, which is, I believe, Pillars of Eternity. That's one of those super in-depth RPGs where you literally can pick like all kinds of wild shit to do moment to moment. It's turn-based, but like Divinity 2 or the new Baldur's Gate, where there's so many options you can make based on the environment, what your character skills are and stuff like that. You have a whole bunch of fighting techniques. This is supposed to be a first-person, real-time action version of that. I need Obsidian to show up with gameplay for this fucking game. Another home run for me personally would be Gears 6 and or Gears Anniversary or Marcus Phoenix Collection, whatever they want to call it. It's time, right? Halo's gotten its big, compilation of old games. It's time Gears got its proppers on that. And the rumor is that this game is on Unreal Engine 5. And it's not only the second and third game, because the first game was already remade during the Xbox One generation, but it's also the first game. And my hopes would be 1, 2, 3, and Judgment. Full feature sets. That's co-op, single player campaign, horde modes, versus modes, the whole 9. If they can squeeze all that on one disc, that's a home run. Because the Gears community really just wants something to play. Like Gears 5 was, 5 years ago? Was it about 5 or 6 years ago now? 2019? No, about 4 years ago. 2018, 2019. It was a while ago, right? And then you got the expansion toward the beginning of the Xbox One generation, which kind of added life to the game, but came and went. It's a very short campaign. Although good, I did enjoy it. It was short. The Gears community needs something. You got to take care of these guys. They're probably the most dedicated fan base you have outside of the Halo dudes. It's time for Gears. It's time for a Gears 6 announcement at the very least. CGI, I can put up with for that. But you guys really do need to announce this Gears compilation. 1, 2, 3, maybe Judgment, because there are people who like that. So what do we got so far? We got Avowed, We got Gears. Since you did this to yourselves, Microsoft, I'm going to just go ahead and say it. You need to show Fable at this goddamn conference. And not what some people have been talking about. Oh, they might do a Fable compilation. Fuck that. You need to show Fable 4 or Fable Rebirth. Or, Phil, this is just for you, buddy. You want to really make me happy? You can show Fable 4, but you could also bring back Fable Legends, because I was enjoying that fucking game before you had to kill it. I understand why you had to kill it, but I was actually enjoying that shit. It was pretty fun. You can bring that back as a surprise shadow drop bonus, and then say, oh, here's some Fable 4 footage. But a Fable compilation, unless you remaking it in Unreal Engine 5, and it looks really damn good, I ain't gonna lie to you. Even then, dog, don't nobody want that shit. I mean, it's no. Let me say nobody wants it. I don't care about that. That's not gonna do it for me. Don't do a Fable tease, and then show me the old games I already played. You do a Fable tease, it's time to show Fable 4, bro. For real. Next game. I would like to see more from Contraband, but from what I heard, they had to restart it or push it back. I would like to see what that game's about. Given the pedigree of that studio, Just Cause, and I believe there was something else they made, Mad Max. I would like to see what this game is hitting on. That would be interesting. But if it needs more time to cook, I would understand. Still, I would like that. Hideo Kojima's game, I don't expect. He just showed Death Stranding 2, not at this past PlayStation event, but I think at the State of Play before it, he showed Death Stranding 2, or they showed Death Stranding 2. So I don't expect the Xbox game that Kojima's working on to have any kind of serious progress made on it yet. Then again, I could be wrong, and that would be a huge get for you guys if you showed that at this showcase. Even if it was just a CGI trailer with the logo or the title, that would be big. Right? Perfect Dark, I don't expect to see. A Hellblade release date within the next 12 months. Hellblade gameplay with a release date, let me say that, within the next 12 months would be really good. That would be really good. Am I expecting that? Maybe. I don't know. But that would be nice. That would be a really good look. Let's see. Let's break down what we got so far. Avowed. Gears 6 / Marcus Phoenix Collection. Fable. Contraband. Hellblade. What else do they really have going on? Really, I can't think of anything else you guys got going on. Maybe that Project Wu-Tang game. Maybe that Dragon game you got going on with IO Interactive, if that's still a thing. Because news picked up about that one for a minute and then it died down. I know I already said this, but Perfect Dark showing up will be cool. I seriously doubt it will. But that would be cool. If you had something to show for Perfect Dark, might go a long way. Just saying. Beyond that, what are my... There's no way in hell these are going to be there, but I mean, I'll take it if they are games. If you show the new Conquer, I seriously doubt that until the Activision Blizzard deal is done and you can actually tell Toys for Bob what to do. I don't see a new Banjo-Kazooie or a Conquer being made at all. I've heard rumors of a Killer Instinct. And with the fighting game community eating so good right now, that wouldn't be bad. I would say this. Boom, I'm glad I thought about that. Not showing Killer Instinct within the next year would be a huge mistake. If you indeed have that game being worked on by either by Namco or whoever you may have gotten to build the game, if you are indeed working on that game, Microsoft, you need to show it within the next year and a half. Fighting games are having like a resurgence of epic proportions right now. We got Street Fighter out now. Mortal Kombat's going to be shown maybe a day or two before your showcase. Tekken 8 has been dropping little vignettes for all their characters for like the last 2 months or so, and they've all been awesome. Within the next 12 months, we will have sequels for 3 of the biggest fighting game franchises on the planet. Killer Instinct needs to put itself in that conversation. And the best way they can do that is for you guys to, at the very least, announce something and maybe show a clip of a motherfucker getting uppercutted through a roof. I don't know. Do something. But the chances of you doing that, whatever. Apparently there's supposed to be 30 games at this showcase. Maybe 12 of them are Xbox titles. I don't know what else they can show, guys. Like again, I doubt Perfect Dark's going to be there. I've heard Contraband is having a little bit of difficulty, so it won't be there. Or do they announce Project Dragon at this thing? There was a rumor that there were 2 games that were going to be there that were going to drop people's jaws. I don't know about all that shit. It's probably a lie. It's probably somebody gaslighting. But Project Dragon might be it. Project Wu-Tang might be it. Apparently there was a Wu-Tang beat-em-up game or action game coming out. Sounds interesting. Could be fucking disastrous. But you know what? Screw it. I'm here for it. I don't know what else, guys. Like, do they even have to? Oh! I forgot they own Bethesda. Wolfenstein. I've heard a very strong implication of Quake being made. A remake of Quake. That would be awesome. Man, that's so much. Fallout remaster. Fallout New Vegas remaster. People go apeshit over that. I don't know, guys. I wouldn't expect to see Outer Worlds 2 here. Again, Perfect Dark's off the table. But there's a lot of stuff I just named. Now, take that stuff that I just named, all of that stuff, right? Get rid of about 75 to 66% of that shit. And be satisfied if 25% of that shit shows up. Right? Because Microsoft, like I said, unless something has drastically changed with these dudes, they could absolutely shit the bed on this thing. I'm here for it one way or the other. I hope they don't. But, yeah, we're going to find out. I know this is a long episode. This is essentially my version of a podcast for you guys. But I will be going live that Sunday. So you guys can chat and catch up with me. I'll be trying to go live during the entire show. We're going to react to this together. We either going to laugh or we going to pop like crazy because, Microsoft goes ham. But it's going to be interesting one way or the other. We'll see you then.